You found the home of your dreams, you love it, and you want to move in, but you find out there's a deposit that's about 2 times the rent amount. You pay that deposit up front before you move in, and then you decide that it's time to move out. You move out, you've cleaned everything, and you're expecting to get that deposit back. You wait, and then finally you get the money back, but it's not what you thought you were going to get back in deposits. As an owner or an investor or a property manager, make sure that you notify the tenant how much of the deposit funds are going to be used to get the home back on the market. Some property management companies and homeowners like to request that this inspection is done within 7 days of you moving in. But when you moved here, that wasn't there. If you don't have an inspection done when you move in, or you haven't taken pictures, or there's no record, there is nothing you can say when they try to charge you for something and say it was never there before. Doing that inspection will protect you. Welcome to High-End Homes Handled Right. This is the Real Property Management Luxury Podcast hosted by Lindell Johnson. Today, we're going to talk about deposits. Deposits. Sometimes owners love it, and sometimes tenants hate it, and sometimes owners hate it, and tenants love it. Today, we're going to explain really what a deposit is used for, how to properly place deposits on your or request deposits for your property, and also as a tenant, how do you make sure that you get as much of that deposit fund back when you move out? Once again, this is Lindell. This is a High-End Homes Handled Right. This is the Real Property Management Luxury Podcast. So, deposits. Now, let's just say that you are a renter. You found the home of your dreams, you love it, and you want to move in. But you find out that there's a deposit that's about 2 times the rent amount. So grudgingly, you pay that deposit up front before you move in. You move in, you're there for about a year. And then you decide that, it's time to move out. You move out, you've cleaned everything, and you're expecting to get that deposit back. You wait, and then finally you get the money back, but it's not what you thought you were going to get back in deposits. This is a problem that happens often. Another problem, let's say you're the owner and the tenant moves out and there's just so much damage done to the property that it's more than what your deposit is. That's another big problem. So let's just take it from the owner's perspective. If you're an owner and your rent is, let's say it's $2,000 a month, most people charge at least up a month, the value of 1 month's rent to 2 times the rent. I personally do 1.5 times the rent for the deposit. But you also, to decide how much your deposit's going to be, you also have to look at the home, the value of the home, how much it will cost for you to pay back, to fix damages. And when we're talking about damages in the home, we're talking about beyond normal wear and tear. I'll say it again, beyond normal wear and tear. That means, let's just say that your tenant put their bed in the bedroom, master bedroom. They have a bed, it's on the wall, and for some reason it rubbed and it scratched the wall where the bed is. Is this normal wear and tear, or is this something that you would claim for your deposit because you want that you have to pay to fix that? Well, I would say that's normal wear and tear. You really have to go through the home when the tenant moves out and look and see, okay, if they've been here for about a year, what is the normal wear and damage that could occur in this home? You may have some rub on the walls when somebody walked by. You may have in the cabinets. It may be, some scratches. But these things are like normal wear and tear. What you're going to try to claim for your deposit, or should use from the deposit funds, are things that are beyond that. Maybe, there's holes in the wall, like somebody was moving out or moving in and they accidentally put a frame or something in the wall, or maybe they mounted TVs and they've left huge holes in the wall. This is beyond normal wear and tear. These are the things that you're going to have to then say, okay, out of those deposit funds that I received from you, we are going to use this amount of money to fix that wall. This also you also as an owner or an investor or a property manager, make sure that you notify the tenant of what or how much of the deposit funds are going to be used to get the home back on the market. And as a tenant, what a tenant should do is, as soon as you move into a new property, you should do an inspection. Some property management companies and homeowners like to request that this inspection is done within 7 days of you moving in. It is very important that you do not miss this step at all, because what can happen is when you move out, they can use that inspection report and compare it to the status of the home when you moved out. They could say, okay, this wall here on the left, there are holes all over this wall, but when you moved here, that wasn't there. If you don't have an inspection done when you move in, or you haven't taken pictures, or there's no record, there is nothing you can say when they try to charge you for something and say it was never there before. So doing that inspection will protect you to make sure that you do maximize the amount of deposit money that's coming back to you. And I know as a renter, that is probably, obviously, that is your probably number one goal when you move out, is to be able to get those funds and probably use that in the next location that you're moving into. And I understand that. And the owner understands that too. But for the owner wants to be able to get that home back on the market, and to look as it looked when you moved in. So, him or the owner is going to have to come out of pocket a lot of times to pay for some of these damages. But it's very important that, for the owner also does that inspection, make sure he and she knows, the status of the home when they're renting it, and the tenant needs to do the same thing. Deposits, could be, a big investment for some people that just don't have the funds to actually pay that deposit up front. Now there's actually, programs where you don't have to pay that deposit up front. There's actually companies where, it's almost like an insurance where you pay every month, and it doesn't require for the landlord to receive your deposit up front. That is a game changer. It is a game changer for a renter, and is it a game changer for the owner or the property management company? Because now when they market it, they could say, we don't require deposit up front. And now for the renter, they don't have to now come up with, the first month's rent, last month's rent, and then on top of that, 2 times their rent for the deposit. That's a lot of money to move into a location. And sometimes that scares prospective renters from actually moving into a property. So now there's actually programs where they pay monthly to this company, and it's for their deposit. And then when the tenant moves out, all the owner has to do then is go to that company with a document and saying that, this is how much the damages cost, or how much it costs to get it back on the market. These are the walls, the issues, the locations where damages were done. And this is how much money we're requiring from the deposit. So deposit was $4,000. We're requesting $3,000 of that $4,000. That company will then give the owner / landlord / property management company a check of that amount. Now on the tenant side, the tenant's now getting $1,000 of that $4,000 deposit. So that company is going to write the check, not the owner. So the company is the one that's going to write that check. And there's also, a rule stating how long it takes or should take for a company to return the deposit. Now, if you go through a second company or another company that's going to handle the deposit for you, they're the ones that are going to make sure that's done on time. A lot of property management companies or owners are so busy, and sometimes, they're not fast enough to return that deposit. When going to another company to deal with your deposit, this is something you don't have to deal with. They'll do that for you. So it's a plus. And now with this company that's actually helping you deal and handle your deposits, it is easy for you as the homeowner or the tenant or landlord, or should I say the homeowner or the landlord, to now do other things instead of worrying about the deposit. Another thing that you can do as an owner is, charge for that deposit on top of the rent. In 2021 in Texas, a lot of companies began doing this. And basically, say the rent is $2,000 a month, they would add extra amount for the deposit. So they would divide what the deposit amount is by 12. So it's 12 months. And then you add that to the rent. So basically, the renter is paying for their deposit every month. And once again, this is for properties that, it's going to be hard to get someone to move in because the deposit amount plus the first month rent and the last month rent, then it's just going to be harder for that future renter or your future tenant. So this is just something that some landlords, homeowners, that they do in order to, attract quality residents. And so I've done that before as well. And I like it. I do like it, but I also really like companies being able to go to them. They deal with the deposit, and that's something that, we don't have to deal with at all. Arguing about deposits, it's not something that you really want to deal with. You really worked hard to have a great relationship with your resident and your tenant, your renter. You worked hard for that relationship while they were living there. And you want that same relationship to be strong when they leave, because that person is going to be able to then recommend you to their friends, family members, and they can say, hey, you know what? This owner was incredible. They took care of me when I was in their home. They took care of us when we moved out. We took care of their home as well. And I highly recommend you rent another one of their investment properties. That's what you want. That's what you want. You don't want to have someone move out, be upset about their deposit. Oh, I was supposed to have gotten all my deposit money back because I paid for a cleaner to come in. On the weekends, I painted the walls back myself and I didn't get all of my deposit back. You don't want this to happen. So another thing you could do to make sure that doesn't happen is not only giving those funds back to them on time, but making sure they know what the charges are going to be. Making sure they know what the charges are going to be before they even move out. So you're telling them, hey, the cost of us doing a make-ready clean is going to be $400. The cost of painting the walls is going to cost us this amount. So then the owner knows, or should I say the resident knows, the renter, what to look for. So when they're moving out, they're like, oh, we didn't have time to redo that wall that we put a hole in the master bedroom. I know that's going to be about $500. So then when they are requesting their deposit back, they know that, they're going to get charged for that amount. So it's always better to over communicate than to have some type of confusion where the tenant believes they're going to get something and they don't receive that. And once again, it's all about relationships. It's a business, but it's all about relationships. You want to make sure that they love where they live and they want to come back to you and they want to refer you to other people and they want you to see you as an honest owner and investor, and they want to see you as someone they want to continue to deal with. So it's always great to over communicate. If a tenant decides that, I do want to take that opportunity to pay for my deposit every month, here are the things that has to be provided to that tenant. Number one, they need to know, obviously, the respective amount of how much the security deposit is. They need to know that, number one. They need to know the right of them to choose to pay the security deposit every month instead of upfront. And last but not least, they really need to know, once again, what the charges are going to be when they move out, as we discussed. And once again, this is Lindell Johnson. This is High-End Homes Handled Right, and this is a discussion on deposits. If you have any questions, please reach back out to us, and we'll definitely help you guys. But once again, the goal shall always be to over-communicate. Have a great day.